a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, I don't actually have any peanut butter, jelly, or bread, so instead we're going to substitute with some peanut M&Ms, some grapes that I found in a Petco dumpster, and some year-old saltine crackers. Let's try this. Ooh, that was rank. I think it might have had something to do with those grapes, but I don't get how. It shared so many elements with a PB&J. Video games and movies are two mediums that at first seem similar when in reality they're almost completely separate. Video games are interactive experiences that can build entire worlds for you to explore and characters you can create bonds with. While films can do a lot of that, they aren't interactive. Movies can still be amazing experiences. So what happens when you mix the two? You get the worst, most disgusting offspring I have ever seen. Video game movies. These aren't video games based on movies like Tron, rather they're movies based on video games like... Well, how did you expect me to react? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we can talk about... We need to first talk about... Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. This movie was an anime released on July 20th, 1986, not even a year after the first Super Mario Bros. Game was released. This meant that the film's creators had very little to go on. That, along with the fact that this film was Japanese, kinda meant that it was fairly accurate to the games, with some exceptions. Some character designs looked odd to say the least. And there's this thing. Now, who is this? Well, this is Prince Haru, the boyfriend of Princess Peach. What? Basically, Mario and Luigi get sucked into the world of the Mushroom Kingdom through their TV, and Princess Peach is kidnapped by Bowser, this lizard, turtle, dinosaur, dragon frog. Anyway, Mario kind of ends up falling in love with Princess Peach after the rescue, and then learns she has a boyfriend. Every time, man. Now, this film never really released outside of Japan, so what about a Mario movie for us American folk? Well, welcome in the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993. Alright. So what do you think of when the word Mario is brought up? Maybe you said mushrooms. Maybe you said Italian plumber. But if you said two cold-blooded plumbers from New York going into a dinosaur world to save a princess named Daisy from the president who's a lizard in disguise, then this movie is for you. This freaking movie. None of the cast even knew that they were making a video game movie. So, what is this thing about? Well, these two plumbers, Mario Mario and Luigi Mario... That's not their official names, right? Right? Are sent to an alternate reality of Manhattan, New York called Dino-Hatton, and it's ran by a President Koopa. Along the way, they go to a nightclub and meet Big Bertha. I see nothing wrong with this. Meet a stoner named Toad who's turned into a Goomba. That's Goomba in quotation marks because what is this thing? Oh, and then there's Yoshi. See, this film was released around the time of Super Mario World, which is dinosaur themed. So what does Yoshi look like? Well, how did you expect me to react? This movie was important as it was what set into motion the video game movie curse, which ensured that all video game movies would be awful. This was even further shown by films like Street Fighter and Lara Croft's Tomb Raider. Yeah, I think it'd be best if we move on. You know a series that has caused so much controversy? Mortal Kombat. Originally released in arcades in 1992, the game was ported to the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. The SNES version censored any and all gore in the original game, but the Genesis version had a code to uncensor the blood and gore. This was one of, if not the most graphic and violent video games at the time. So needless to say, it caused some controversy. It was used as one of the many reasons to set in place the ESRB, or Entertainment Software Ratings Board in the US. They made a PG-13 movie based on it in 1995. Basically, there's a martial arts tournament held every generation in a place called Outworld. The film is about Johnny Cage competing in this tournament. The film received mixed reviews with a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was financially successful enough to get a sequel in 1997 called Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Hey, remember that Mario guy from earlier? He really could use some competition, right? Well, in 1991, Sega set out to make just that. They came up with this thing, a speedy little guy called Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, he got a movie, released in 1996 or 1999, depending on the day of the week. 1832. It was called Sonic the Hedgehog OVA, or Original Video Animation. It was essentially two Sonic episodes smashed together. It follows Sonic, Tails, who sounds like he swallowed a beehive, and Knuckles trying to stop Robotnik and Metal Sonic from turning their land of the sky into the land of the darkness, with a cat girl and the president thrown in there somewhere. This movie's weird. I'm gonna say that that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a thing. Because by this point, only the classic Sonic games had been released. Also, the characters sound weird, especially Tails. And you know what my wildest dream has always been? An illegal underground dogfighting ring. And Pokemon is the closest I'll ever get to that. Look, I'm not a Pokemon fan at all. I've never played a Pokemon game, never played the card game, but I have seen some of the original anime. And Pokemon the movie from 1998 is based on just that. See, this film came out during the Pokemon boom in the 90s. It follows Ash, Brock, and Pikachu as they take down Mewtwo, a Pokemon that is essentially a sequel to Mew, engineered in a lab. On the topic of Pokemon, let's skip ahead 31 years to the release of Pokemon Detective Pikachu. This film follows Tim and Ryan Reynolds, Pikachu, as they try to solve the mystery of Tim's dad's murder. I actually saw this movie when it came out and ended up really enjoying it. No one talks about it anymore though. But that same year, something else happened. One of the most horrifying events in human history. This!
Get that thing away from me!
The trailer to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was released to a collective
Nope!
Sonic looked horrible in this film, sporting realistic muscles and human teeth. Everyone was outraged, like, come on, that is not my Sonic! He was later redesigned to something that people trusted being around their kids. The film follows Sonic coming to Earth and being hunted down by Mr. Jim Carrey, otherwise known as Robotnik, who's working for the government but actually just wants Sonic's powers. Sonic has to get help from this cop named Tom to live. While this movie isn't very accurate to the games, it was praised for being an alright movie and breaking the video game movie curse, because no one wants to admit that Detective Pikachu exists. This gave studios the confidence to release video game movies and make them more game accurate. I mean, Mortal Kombat even got a shot at redemption with an R-rated film. It's not talked about much nowadays, but I think people liked it from what I can remember. But in 2022, Sony Pictures decided to take a crack at it by releasing a film based on a PlayStation exclusive, Uncharted. This movie was bad. It follows Victor Sully and Nathan Drake as they try to recover their 500-year-old treasure. The issue with this film is that it takes elements from the games and then adapts them with little to no depth. Anyway, how about Sonic? Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was released in 2022 and follows Sonic and Tails as they attempt to stop Robotnik from stealing the Master Emerald. Robotnik isn't alone this time. He managed to manipulate Knuckles and Echidna into believing that he actually wants to help the world. Tom is off at an unnecessary wedding side plot. This movie was great as it was actually game accurate, unlike the first film. There's still one more movie I'd like to talk about though. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was released in 2023, and when it was announced that Illumination was making it, everyone lost faith. Then the cast list was announced.
Chris as Mario, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Hang on, that could actually work.
The movie finally came out, and it was panned by critics, but loved by audiences. It follows two plumbers from Brooklyn, Mario and Luigi, as they find a pipe leading to the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi is kidnapped by Bowser, meaning that Mario, Peach, Toad, and Donkey Kong must go save him. Again, critics hated the movie, but audiences loved it, and it became one of the highest grossing animated films of all time.
And that is an overview of video game movies. Now, I wasn't able to tackle them all, but I got most of the major ones. Except for Five Nights at Freddy's, The Wizard, and the countless animated ones. Screw it, let's talk about the Tetris movie!